Hello, I'm Vonda High and this is Joyful Weddings. Today we're going to talk about finding a location for your wedding reception. When you think about your wedding and where you'd like to have it, you need to sort of decide on the overall feeling of your wedding. Is it black tie? Is it cocktail party? Is it informal barbecue? Antique barn? In your backyard? All of those are viable, wonderful options for a wedding reception. And which one is going to be right is going to be based on the two of you and what you decide. So you sit down and you talk and you look at pictures and you decide what you would like to do. And then once you decide, obviously if it's going to be in your backyard, your location has been found. Your location search then becomes tent, caterer, and all of the things that go with building a wedding reception in your backyard. If it is going to be a restaurant or a hotel or a catering hall, you begin looking. And as we discussed when we talked about budget, we start with the number of your guests because some catering halls can handle 100 and some can handle 1,000. So you need to know approximately how many people you're going to invite. You need to decide what's going to happen at your wedding. Do you need space for ceremony, cocktail hour, dinner, after party? Bonfire afterwards? What are the different elements that are going to make up the day that you need space for? Is there going to be dancing? Will it be a plated meal where you have tables and chairs for everyone? Or will it be an extended cocktail hour where you just need a few cocktail tables and a bar and some stations and everyone mingles? All of those have different space requirements. Once you get back information that you like, let's say that a hotel has a room that will provide you with all the spaces that you need. They can accommodate the dates that you're looking for, or you just ask them for date availability. You find out that they're within your price range. Then you go and you look and you experience the room, and I suggest experiencing it as the guests would experience it. So what is the entryway like? How will they go to a ceremony? How do they move to cocktails, dinner? Sometimes you use the same room for multiple spaces for multiple events, and that's called flipping a room. So you might start in one room for the ceremony, move to another for cocktails, and then go back to the ceremony space and it's been flipped for dinner. That happens quite a bit. But each site will have its own general flow, and they will tell you how to accommodate your guests. They also should be able to give you floor plans, given the number of guests you have, how they can set up the room, like where do they put a band or a DJ. This is where the ceremony space normally happens. This is how they set up cocktails. This is where bars go, food stations, etc. And they should be able to give you those floor plans so you can determine if you like the flow, or you ask them, well, what if we did this? And you see how they respond. But you're going to go in and you're going to pick the feeling and the elegance of your site. And then after you look at a couple of them and you do a full budget analysis, the site will give you back pricing, and pricing should include everything so that you know no surprises. Now, if you go to a place where you are paying a room rental fee and you bring everything in, like for example, you're going to a hall and you're renting the space for $5,000 for 8 hours. That means that you've got an hour for ceremony, an hour for cocktails, 4 hours for dinner and dancing. So that's 6 hours. That leaves 2 hours, 1 hour at the beginning, 1 hour at the end for setup and breakdown. That might not be enough, and you might want to ask, what is the provision/cost for additional hours for setup and breakdown? You don't want to get hit after you come back from your honeymoon with an additional bill because the caterer couldn't get out on time. Those are the kinds of questions that you just make sure you ask everything and know exactly what you need to know. And be aware that no one doing a wedding for a first time knows everything. So make sure that if you visited one location and you see what they include, don't assume that the next location will also include all that. Ask and make sure, because you don't want any surprises after a contract is signed. And then also always ask what the sales tax is and what the administrative charges are and what their policy on gratuity is. And make sure that that is all clear and understood before you sign a contract. Also, if you are going to a catering hall or a hotel or a club, they will have a kitchen space built in. If you are doing it in your backyard, you will need to allow for a kitchen. You will need to allow for restrooms. You'll need to allow for parking. So there are some space requirements in your home that hopefully the tent company that you're working with will be able to guide you on. But just be aware that you need to think through all of the things that your guests will be doing in the site and that you need space for. When the two of you are thinking about your location and you're trying to determine what kind of venue you're going to look at, and you're thinking about whether it should be black tie or jacket and tie or jeans and t-shirts, whatever it is, spend some time looking at pictures. A lot of times the difference between a black tie event and a cocktail party is simply the way the room is decorated or lit, or sometimes just the way the food is served. You can take the same room and make it a black tie room or an informal room based on the menu, the lighting, the kind of decor you have. So don't necessarily walk away from a room that looks simple to you, even if you might like everything else about it, just because you want a black tie event and that room doesn't look black tie to you. The linens, the flowers, the dishes, the type of music, the way the food is served, all of those aspects can make a very informal space become formal. So just please remember there are no dumb questions, and if you feel uncomfortable asking, then lead with, "This is our first time doing it. I'm so sorry. This might be obvious to you, but it's not to us. Can you please confirm what the gratuities are that are expected here, or what are the overtime charges? When do we have to get out?" Those kinds of questions, and just make sure you understand everything and you're fully confident with the outcome of the total cost of the contract. Remember to follow me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Check out my website for all the weddings that I've done, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.